Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Lionel, and I'm your host for LT Productions. You are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering BelAir, which is currently streaming on the Peacock streaming network, or app, whatever you want to call it. Every Thursday, they dropped 2 episodes this past week. Don't know how many they're dropping this coming up week, but however, I'm here. Late, but I'm here. Please like this video, and also, you can subscribe to this channel if you are new here. And you can leave your comments below. But let's get into this episode. All right, so Hillary and LaMarcus, they come by the mansion. They're speaking with Will Carlton. They're talking about what happened in the hospital. LaMarcus is now out, but this deranged fan slash groupie disguised herself as a nurse, and she was trying to schedule some type of sponge bath for LaMarcus. She ended up being caught, and things didn't go as far as it was. So now they can laugh about it at least. They talk a little bit about Black Cess. They are proud. LaMarcus and Hillary, they're proud of them for creating this business, because LaMarcus said, while I was still trying to fight for my life, you done created a whole business and a brand. Whoa. They talk about Investors Day, and they also said to Hillary, well, I know that you have your own brand that you're building, and don't you have this big agent? And she said, yeah, but I haven't had time to really do anything. And then LaMarcus said, because she's been taking care of me. She's been talking with the doctors when I can't, setting up appointments, da-da-da-da-da-da. She's been my rock through all of this. I guess that's the through sickness and health part that they got right. But then Hillary says, well, we're not really here to talk about that. And she stares at LaMarcus as a signal. LaMarcus takes over, and he asks Will and Carlton to be groomsmen. They did accept. Of course, they gave a little pushback, but whatever. It was a little banter, but whatever. Will and Carlton, they go downstairs, and Phil and Viv are already down there in the kitchen. They're talking about what happened at the square the other night. I think it's Campbell Square. And it looks like D.A. Wilkes, Fred Wilkes, who was Lisa's father that we met in the past 2 seasons, is covering the case right now. They mentioned Yolanda Porter. And Carlton said, Yolanda Porter, isn't that Will should know some more information as to what happened? And Carlton was like, Will was like, no, I really don't. No, I really don't. Fred comes in, and also Mr. Omar comes in, and he's speaking. I was there at Jazz's record place, but they were talking a little bit about how they felt, but not much was going on. So to cut things kind of short, they start asking Will some questions. Will played it really safe, just to cover every bases. He doesn't really know too much as to what was going on. Omar feels that Yolanda is an extremist, has extremist energy, and really wants her to go down for all of this. Jeffrey said, well, look, there's a place that's right across the street that has cameras, and we can pick up footage to find out who actually did all this stuff. Lisa comes by, and Carlton had requested her because he's getting Amira a 2-month anniversary gift. And then Lisa looked at it, and she was like, are you guys moving too fast? And then Carlton says, why is everyone so worried? Don't you want the best for me? Lisa was like, yeah, we do. Just be careful in this whole situation, because you are moving quite fast and acting like you really know each other, and it still looks like you guys are trauma bonding. Then he was like, well, when's the last time you've seen me this happy? Excuse me. So I guess guilt took over on Lisa, and she looked like she wanted to say something to Carlton, but she didn't. And you know that she knows about Amira's at least purchases of drugs. All right, so Eli, this is the boy that Ashley has been allowing to come over to the house. Eli and Ashley and Aunt Viv, they're going to be going to the country club. And Uncle Phil comes into the room, and Eli says, hi, Phil. And Phil said, I prefer Mr. Banks. And he said, okay. And then Phil asked Ashley to come over to check on something. And then he says, hey, don't you think that skirt is a little bit too short? Ashley said, no. Well, Phil says, well, I do. And I don't feel comfortable with you wearing this outfit. And Ashley says, I don't dress for you, dress for your comfort. I said, ooh, okay, Ashley. Um, Phil looks around like, who are you talking to? Like, Phil was not having it. Not in the least bit. He says, I know you're not talking to me like that. And then Ashley says, well, you don't police Will or Carlton. At that point, I think Aunt came in or whatever, and Ashley goes to change. Phil and Eli, they talk. Oh, no, not Aunt Viv didn't come yet. But Ashley did have to go and change. Phil and Eli start talking, and Phil says, you know, you've been hanging around at the house with Ashley a lot. And then Eli says, yeah, we've been having a good time. And Phil says, how good of a time? Lord. Now Aunt Viv comes and interrupts everything and then says to Eli, hey, why don't you go pack the car? At that point, Phil starts venting with Viv, like, I don't like how slick he is, you know. And when did Ashley get so mouthy? Yeah, I would definitely like to know that myself. Did you buy her that skirt? And then Viv said, relax, breathe. The audacity, for real, to me, that you would try to blame her for it. Then Phil was like, I thought she was into girls. Does she like boys now? And I said, wait a minute. Wait. Uncle Phil knows that Ashley's into girls? Since when? Because this was a secret. And only Hillary knew. I think Jeffrey knew-ish anyways. Aunt Viv was suspecting, but she didn't want to say anything. But now it's somehow out in the open. I think that was still some type of conversation that should be had. Since we didn't really get the fallout of when Ashley was very free in her identity. Because we don't still know her pronouns. But Viv says, hey, Eli has a boyfriend. You have nothing to worry about. And guess what? I got this, you know. Ashley comes in. She says, are you, I forgot the word she actually said, but basically, are you pleased now? And then they said, yes. And then she gives this eye roll and goes outside. Now that right there, this is the wrong generation. Because those eye rolls would have rolled all the way around into the back of her head. That she was dealing with someone that had to deal with parents in my generation. So I said, Lord, Ashley. Will tries to leave a message for Jazz, and Carlton bursts in and demands Will to tell him the truth. Will finally confesses, you know, we were there to just do a little damage, but then there was somebody start lighting up stuff, and that was never the plan. And Carlton ended up saying, you know, how could you really do this right now? We built this business together, and you're risking it all for something that has 100 pros and cons between each other. And then Will said, I picked a side, like they were trying to say that he doesn't really do. And you're for black? Oh, Carlton ended up saying, well, you say you're for this all black pride, black success, all this good stuff. Why don't you come out of hiding and confess and stand in what you actually said that you believe in, since you did pick a side? And he gives it the man. He says, you tell my dad before I tell you. And basically confess to what happened there. Now I done picked a side. Lord Jesus. All right, so Lisa's at the country club as Aunt Viv, Ashley, and Eli have arrived there also. Lisa's texting Amira asking, can we talk? Then Lisa and Aunt Viv, they reminisce a little bit. She was remembering a time where Lisa and Carlton would come out to the country club and was swimming in the pool that they were right near. She brought her baby bag, and Aunt Viv found out that she had taken her brother Leo to daycare here at the country club while she does her shift. She says that, you know, things are really, how I want to say this, overpowering, not overwhelming, that's what I meant. Viv says, well, you know, Will told me about what was going on and all that. She says, well, with Angela, this is her stepmother, she doesn't know what's really going on. Because it's like 1 minute she's interested and not really. She sleeps for half of the day, and really Lisa has to pick up the slack. And Aunt Viv says, you know, what does your father say? Well, he's working all the time. So basically, of course, it's overwhelming. She feels like Lisa does. Everything feels like too much, and it's hard. I mean, for a 17-year-old, I think it would be hard. That's a lot to handle. Aunt Viv asked, you know, what can she do? And Lisa said, maybe you can talk to my dad if it's not too big of an issue for you. And Aunt Viv says, I'm here for you, blah, blah, All right, so Quentin and the whole business team, they go to some type of place where you can exercise at. Well, they have brought along Bianca Belair. She is a wrestler for, I guess, the WWE. I used to watch wrestling back in the day when you had the Hulk Hogan's and the Ultimate Warriors, the Nasty Boys, which was on WCW at the time, Shawn Michaels back then, the Undertaker back then. I'm trying to think of the guy oozing with Machizo. That dude, I forgot his name. Rod Piper. Them folks. That's what I'm used to. I stopped watching when I realized it was fake. I didn't know when I was a younger child in regards to that. But anyway, she's there, and she's there to just teach the people at how to have adversity or work with partnership to work with someone through challenging times, basically. She says that she's the first Black WrestleMania champion, and she has EST. And they said, what is that? You know, she's the strongest, she's the greatest. All the ESTs at the end, that's who she is. So everyone has to partner with someone for this exercise, and it's basically the partners have to work together to flip over one of the other partners. When they get to Will and Carlton, Will's still talking to smack while Carlton done already made his sneak attack. And he basically said, what is up with all that? Well, he wanted to test out to see if Will was able to think on his toes if something was to happen impromptu. So Will and Carlton not feeling each other. They almost get into a tussle, and then Quentin breaks it up. He says, you know, look, I don't know what's going on. Hopefully this whatever is happening, it's over before Investors Day. Eli and Ashley, they're at the country club, and they're taking selfies. He's laying in the chair, one of the beach chairs, and then Ashley's in there also, and she's laid up and hugged up with him. He took this photo, and he says this will make Noah jealous. Noah apparently is the boyfriend that we thought they were together. We find out that they broke up. And basically he broke up with whatever was happening with his family. And Ashley said, well, that was similar to what Olivia did to me. I guess we just have too much going on that they can't really handle. I mean, they're, let's say, 12, 13 years old. What do you think? I mean, I think y'all carrying on a lot more problems than what you should as teenagers. All right, so Viv comes by after their little speech to each other and basically saying, you two don't really have, in a polite way, you two don't have to really sit next to each other. Ashley is embarrassed and all that, and just asking her, what's going on between you and Dad that y'all just coming at me like this? I'm paraphrasing. She laid down the line, you know, Eli and I are just friends. And Aunt Viv and says, you know, me and your father are just trying to figure out everything. I think what Ashley said, you let Olivia stay the night, despite even knowing, I guess now, that she does like girls. So it's like, what is the difference here? Blah, blah, blah. And then basically, Ashley just says, can you trust me? Come on. And Aunt Viv said, we sure will. All right, so, I got ahead to the whole Bianca thing, but whatever. Surrender to your fear and to trust your partner. That's basically what it is to complete a task. Hillary and LaMarcus, they're visiting the agent. They're wanting to do this 360 ad campaign for her upcoming wedding. And Hillary was like, I thought we'd be doing more cooking related products as far as any type of advertisement. And they said, well, we'll get to that, but let's capitalize off of your wedding and your love and you being together. Da, 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 da. Let me lay. LaMillery is supposed to be their hashtag couple name. She was like, well, what we talked about was about cookware line and a cookbook with my family recipes. And she said, we'll get to that. But I hired you to open those doors. Not just to see what can be easily done. I mean, I guess it's easy to be invested into a couple, take a few selfies here, find out their story, and then you're so in love with that particular couple that you're now idolizing. At this point, she kind of dismisses the person as far as what we established. You know, you're being paid for and hired for this. So we'll see what happens with that. Omar meets with Phil and the investors, and basically they're ready to pull out. After the whole arson thing, it's just like, So they renegotiated the agreement that they did have under strict stipulations Omar's not really for that, and he says and the investor says, if you don't take this deal, we can no longer have ties with you. Viv goes and visits Lisa's father, Fred. She says, I'm concerned about Lisa, and she talks about the things that she says that Angela's doing. Fred said, "Are you here to help Lisa or to criticize Angela? You've had issues with her from day one." That's true. And Viv was like, "Look, I understand what your wife may be going through. I understand the signs of postpartum." And then Fred says, "I can take care of my family by myself." But it's like, can you? I mean, you're quite busy now, and you're not helping right now. Because Lisa, a 17-year-old, basically has to raise your child. But it's that black thing where we're just too prideful to just really ask for help. That's what's really going on. But basically, I'm going to take care of my family, and you take care of yours. And what is that supposed to mean? He just says, well, I got to get back to work. I don't know if he wanted to allude towards Carlton or Will or whatever, but it looks like it was going down that line, but whatever. So Will texts Jazz and asking him where he's at. Carlton comes back. Will is in a frenzy because it's like, where are you at? We got to make sure that we have everything prepared for this Inventors Day. Carlton said, look, I had to go take a walk because I had to go clear my mind. Carlton finds out about the investors for Omar's company and development is ready to back out. Will says, oh, I got to go tell Uncle Phil right now. And Carlton says, wait until after the investors thing, and then you can let him know what's going on. Phil and Viv, they talk a little bit. Viv says, can we just go back to Punta Minta before we have these problems? And that is, to me, a sign, like, I think there's still going to be things hopping up in the marriage because it's like, okay, you're going on a trip and you finally had sex. Is your relationship cool again? Because we still got that chef out there flirting. We haven't seen him for some episodes, but I have a feeling that he's going to be coming back. Is Viv going to cheat? Because I kind of think that that's what's going to happen. Or get permission to cheat. That's what I think. Y'all can let me know in the comments about that. They talk about Fred. Viv says, I want to be there for Lisa. And I'm glad that she's now comfortable enough to open up, to ask for help. She's getting out of her comfort zone. And Uncle Phil says, Fred is probably doing the best that he can. And Viv says, so are you. Uncle Phil says, I didn't start my own practice to throw my weight around behind projects I don't believe in. And Viv says, then don't. He says that he's nervous because the lawyers the lawyers are nervous because they don't have any work right now. And Viv reassures him that you will rebuild your firm on integrity and not compromise. All right, so Will and Lisa, they meet up at the country club, and Lisa says, thank you for looking out for me. He says, no problem. I want to make sure that I do look out for you, and I'm there for you when you need me. And then she confesses about Amira. Phil and Omar. That conversation is Phil cut ties with Omar. Omar wanted Phil to do something else, and Phil said no. And then he says, I knew you weren't ready for something like this. It's like, I think he, not like that, as far as cutting off black businesses and gentrifying the area. So Eli and Ashley are back in her room, and he's singing her a song, and after he's done, well, she's got a good voice. She says, did you write that for Noah? And he says, no, it's for someone new. And then Ashley was like, well, who is he? And he said, well, maybe there are... Oh, he hands over the music lyrics and all that. Ashley reads them. And then he says, well, maybe your parents are extra around me because they can sense what's going on now. So Eli has feelings for Ashley. So a non-binary person, and we don't really know how Ashley is labeled at this point. Investor Day. Carlton, or somebody. Oh, Will showed up late. And now this time he used the same excuse that Carlton used. Carlton's asking, like, where has he been? And he says, he went to go take a walk to clear his head. And then Carlton says, Amira was supposed to come by. Oh, Will and Amira, they did talk. And Will lets it out of the bag about, he knows about the drugs. And she says, who's going to believe you if you tell him you or me, da 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 da. She was threatening him and all this good stuff. So, anyways, Carlton was asking, Amir was supposed to come by. I don't know what happened. Will just said, let's focus on this right now. Amir runs to Lisa saying that I trusted you on some girl code-ish. And Lisa said, I was concerned for you and concerned about Carlton in this whole situation, da 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 da. And then Amir was like, well, how should I think you would stand up for me when you won't even stand up for your own damn self? I said, okay. Well. All right, so back at the mansion, Hillary comes by. She's, what is it? Not ejecting, but raising her voice, looking for mom and dad. They're not at least there, at least showing up. All of a sudden, Marcus comes out with this song, and he's singing to Jagged Edge, Let's Get Married. Meet me at the altar. Da, 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 da. So we're getting a lot of 90s songs this season. Pretty good. Shout out to my generation. So LaMarcus gets on one knee and reproposes and says, look, she's like, well, you already proposed to me. He said, well, let's get married in 2 weeks. In Martha's Vineyard, it could just be me, you, and our special loved ones. We can do some type of grand wedding another time. And Hillary says, yes. Then Phil and Viv, they come out, and he congratulates them, and he said, finally, you did get my, you asked for the hand in marriage this time. So, right before Will and Carlton have to do their speech, presentation, Lisa's calling. Will is ignoring right now, trying to get ready for this project. He puts the phone down right next to Carlton. Carlton picks it up because Lisa's just blowing it up. And he's like, who's blowing this phone up? And Lisa texts him, and Carlton sees the text saying, what did you do to Amira? She's pissed. And Carlton says, what did you do to Amira? And Will was like, no, it can wait. Like, Carlton said, no, we can have this right now. So he confesses to what Amira is doing. And basically he's trying to say, don't blow this moment right now. I understand what you may be feeling right now, but we can't deal with that. So the presentation time, Carlton isn't coming out. Will starts and he's trying to do this impromptu thing because he's not really prepared. So he starts rapping to an old song. It's a jungle sometimes. Oh, it's an old song from the 80s. Or old rap from the 80s. Carlton finally comes out to kind of just save the day there. And it looks like they did a very good job. We don't know the end results. We don't know if they're investors or not as of yet. Jeffrey and Phil, they meet. Jeffrey says there's camera footage. But then Phil says, you know what, I'm no longer, Omar Campbell is no longer a client of mine, nor is he my problem. And he says, you might still want to know what they caught on camera. I thought it was going to be Will. But they've identified Jaleel Azahir Ahmad, Jazz. He's in jail right now. That's why he hasn't been answering Will all this time. So the guys, Will and Carlton, they run out to, to Lisa, to try to find Amira. And they are like, where could she be? Do you know any special places? And Carlton was like, well, she has said that she's sharing her location. He finds out that she's right there on the country club grounds. So they're now running around the country club. Next, we see Amira at the pool. And she looks so dazed out, like she got a hold of some type of drugs or something. And you're hearing all the voices in her head, just about giving up and all this good stuff. So she ended up dropping back down into the pool. Lisa and Carlton and Will, they finally see her in there. Lisa and Carlton, they rescue her. They get her on dry land and all that. They're waiting for her to wake up or something. She's not responsive. They got these like smelling salt things or whatever. She's not responding, and then she finally comes to. So when she comes to, she starts crying and being held by Lisa and Carlton at this moment. So, I know some people are like, they don't like Amira. I'm not saying that Amira's not bad, because there's just some things that were just outright crazy. Like, girl, what you doing? Don't do that, Some of the things are really off, but I don't think that Amira's a bad person. She's stuck in the cycle of drug activity and of addict activity. She's manipulative and all of that. I don't think that she's doing things to be the villain, if I'm saying that right. It's just like she's just caught in this web of addiction. And I made a tweet about her being a double-edged sword. Like, a double-edged sword is one that heals and hurts at the same time. And that's kind of the message. So I don't think her and Carlton should be a couple, maybe friends or something, but to be depending upon each other like they are, it's not going to work. That's all I do have. This is a long video, but I do appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and leave your comments below. Until the next one, peace.